Hello everyone and welcome back to a Monday night and continued coverage here live on RaceSpotTV of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, alongside as always is Lorenzo Bonder. We've got an exciting race, the first of two here from the Lone Star State. 1 week ago we headed to the Milwaukee Mile, one of the oldest speedways in existence, not just in the US but across of global motorsports as well. Now we head to the Texas Motor Speedway. In 1 week's time we'll head to the Circuit of the Americas as well. That should be a fascinating ride. But here today, a 1.5 miler, and one that as we race into the night lights should prove to be a very interesting race. 7 rounds into this championship, we are over the halfway mark, and that does mean we head into the swing of things and into the month of May and the iRacing Indy 500 as well. Lots to look forward to, but a championship that is really heating up as we head into this double header weekend from Texas. Lorenzo, take a look at these championship standings. Yep. It's 80 points separating Henry Bennett and Adam Blocker, but with Adam Blocker looking to try and get some points on the board before he makes his way over to the Brickyard for his own commitments at the Brickyard for the Indy 500 track side. This is a very important race, a very big field, 20 drivers, very strong I ratings as well.
Very strong I ratings, and if we're talking about championship battles here, Arjuna, take a look who are in the first and second positions respectively, and how close they are together to show how much this championship means to them.
And it's not just those two names as well. You've got Andrew Marquez, Brendan Lichtenberg. They're having a nice little scrap for third, only 20 points separating them. It is very good to see, by the way. Alexis Newsom peeking into the top 10s of these standings. Of course, a very strong contender in the Lionheart Speedway Series. So this is the championship situation. Let's start talking a little bit about this track, because a unique quad oval design has seen some rather exciting finishes when the Indy cars have come here in the past. 1.5 miles, Lorenzo, variable banking on each side of the track. So 20 degrees in turns 1 and 2, and then 24 degrees in turns 3 and 4.
Yeah, and one of the things I was actually trying out the track might be the usage of different weight jackets for specific turns, because each turn has very specific behavior on how you should tackle it, and it's going to be much more of a traditional race than we saw in Milwaukee. It's much faster. You can reach 360 kilometers per hour, 201, 210, nearly 210 kilometers per hour, even on draft. So it's going to be a key track for you to be very patient. I don't think there will be 2 lines. Maybe in the middle of the race there might be a second line, but the inside line is where it's going to have the most action. Who's going to have it is going to have a whole lot of advantage to make the overtakes.
So we work our way through qualifying. Not many cars left still out there, with just 50 seconds left on the qualifying clock. Here is Matt Holloway, provisionally in 18th position as he works, I think, just a couple of practice laps here. Christian Macarelli is getting up to speed. It's a Powerslide Motorsports front row as things stand. A Blocker leading his teammate Bennett in the qualifying standings. Of course, the championship standings the other way. It's Holloway. Was a second very quick lap time there. Sneaks him into the top 10. Looks like Macarelli might be done with 20 seconds left. So Blocker and Bennett first and second. Marco Brazil in third. Christopher Demare in fourth. And Jesper Orman in fifth. He was looking forward, to coming here. Very close margins across the entire field. But we are moments away from getting trackside to take a look at our starting grid for round 7 in the iRacing IndyCar Open Series here in the Lone Star State. A 2-week swing. We start off here on the 1.5 mile oval. We'll head to the Circuit of the Americas, but now we head trackside to take a look at our starting grid. On pole position, Adam Blocker with a 23.825. His teammate beaten out by just 3 thousandths of a second. It's very close at the top. Marco Brazil half a tenth behind in third. And Christopher Demare in the number 1 car rounds out row number 2. Jesper Orman inside of row 3. He'll have the hyperstar Brendan Lichtenberg to his outside. Chad Simpson no longer representing Spark VR LLM, now representing VRS Satellite Racing. He'll start on the inside of row number 4 alongside Lionheart Speedway Series double-time winner already in 2021, Alexis Newsom. Matt Holloway on the inside of row 5. To his outside, Andrew Marquez, third place in the championship. Tyler Dubosch inside of row 6. Chris Wilhite, great to see him back on a Monday night, the Ohio native, with Carlos Ruiz and Austin Espity sharing row 7. Jacob Oster, Vilda Wallen, row 8 on this grid with Severi Seppa, AJ Musselman on row 9. Final row in our 10-row field, Christian Macarelli, Adam Crane, 2 cars that did not set qualifying lap times, and Lorenzo, they will have a lot of work to do.
They will have a whole lot of work to do, but I think Texas is one of those tracks that I think placing doesn't matter, because it just, when it builds up, and again, more attrition than Milwaukee, so there will be more yellow flags. We only had 2 yellow flags back in Milwaukee, if I recall correctly. Over here, I think we might see maybe 3, 4 strategies might mix up a little bit. So Adam Crane and Christian McCrally will have some time to make up those places up in the field.
The cars begin to roll then off of pit road. 133 laps here. Should be an interesting one with relatively cool track conditions. Here you can see 20 degrees in the air, 21 degrees on the track with a relatively mild 14-kilometer-an-hour wind. See how the tires hold up here. 20 cars, not the biggest field of Indy cars, but that might mean that we get away with minimal caution interventions. At the front, it will be the Power Slide duo, Blocker and Bennett, squabbling over the title. You've got Marco Brazil looking to make his impression here in the Lone Star State. Alongside will be Christopher Demerit, and great to see Jesper Orman making his way into a Monday night, which must be a pretty late night for him over there in Sweden, but I'm sure he'll be hoping to get that car looking splendid as well in the new Three Crowns livery, hoping to get it to the end. But at the front then, Adam Blocker looking to reclaim his throne here on a Monday night. Brandon Treno unfortunately not going to defend his championship, and Adam Blocker's teammate Henry Bennett will start on his outside, his main championship rival. Pace car down onto the safety of pit road. 20 cars in this split, 3 total splits on a Monday night. Great to see, lots of action as drivers get excited about the return of the NTT IndyCar Series. We get racing here though from the Lone Star State. Very good jump from Adam Blocker as Marco Brazil tries to work to the inside of the British Racing Green in Henry Bennett. Look at them fanning out though for some track position. A good jump from Jesper Orman, not going to face too much of a challenge from Brendan Lichtenberg. He tries to now look to the inside of Marco Brazil. So we fly our way down in through turn 3. Various lines being taken, Lorenzo, and the i5G teammates, they migrated themselves up onto the outside.
Yeah, they're going to be lined up on the outside. Might lose a little bit some places because when the tires builds up a little bit, the car gets slightly slower. So you're going to have a little bit of patience for you to make up those grounds. And, Marco Brazil already covering heavily the P3 out of Christopher Demerit, but there he goes.
Not sure what happened to Brazil there. It was a bit of a bobble. He's now slipping down on that outside line as Chad Simpson tries to work his way around. Ooh, they almost go 3 wide. Simpson thinks better of it. Here comes Andrew Marquez trying to take advantage. This is pretty hectic racing right now. Henry Bennett and Adam Blocker very content to run around single file. They'll be hoping that all of this action in their rearview mirrors continues, Lorenzo, because it can be difficult to fight at the front of this field, but the cars behind, they're very much showing that you can get racy once you're in the dirty air.
Yeah, you can get a little bit racy in the dirty air, and I'm quite surprised to see some of the cars actually taking a little bit of a middle line, not a high line. High line, you lose a whole lot of time, even though you're trying to save a little bit more tires, but that is more an NASCAR strategy than anything else. But the thing you really don't want to be is dirty air through the mid corner, like between 1 and 2. Otherwise, it's going to get really complicated if you want to get close and try to make some moves.
So this is on the edge of the top 10. Chris Wilhite tries to work the outside line. Looks like Brendan Lichtenberg in front. It's fallen down a couple of positions. Great to see, by the way, Alexis Newsom rocketing her way up into the 4th position right now. Very quickly becoming a very strong face here on the ovals. Be interesting to see as we head into the month of May what she looks to do. We've got both, of course, the fixed 500 and the open 500, so 2 different opportunities to see who will be the best in 500 miles of action at the Brickyard. Last year, Sage Karam taking victory in the fixed 500, and it was Now Brandon Traino going back-to-back, and in the open race 1 week later. Brazil is really struggling on the outside line right now, and look at Jesper Orman trying to get to his inside now, Lorenzo.
Yeah, but he's not going to have to run enough to actually make that overtake. And Orman might have thought, he's going to cover it up once they migrate into the backstretch. So not surprised to see Owen not being aggressive into it. But Brazil is looking for it. He wants to get that place back from Alexis Newsom.
And for the first time, looks like Adam Blocker has his teammate trying to poke a nose to the outside, but Bennett will slot back in. Here comes Orman trying to get to the inside of Marco. Brazil, lovely roll bar camera that we always get to look at, and now we can slowly turn it around. Take a look at the momentum that Brazil's able to just carry through the corner. Look behind Orman as well. Lichtenberg and Wilhite are side by side right now, with Simpson lurking in the background, Lorenzo.
And Chris Whittle in the inside trying to go for the place in from Lichtenberg, but now Brazil getting a very, very bad run, and now allows Ullman to come in and go for the move and get P5 out of the Brazilian.
Yeah, he's going to get it done. Here comes Lichtenberg as well. The Hyperstar's trying to slide his way to the inside. Oh, gets it done very easily. Brazil is going to drop down the order if he can't find his way to the inside, because that seems to be the preferred line right now, Lorenzo. And here comes the draft that the Hyperstar is going to feed to Brazil, and that will help him defend from Chris Wilhite.
Yeah, and you're going to see now Brazil going into the inside line, going to cover it up, not allow Chris Whittle to get closer and make those moves, and now you have the whole start-finish run. The problem is, if you try to make that move on the outside, it's going to get complicated. You're going to see right now, Brazil taking a very wide line is going to allow Chris Whittle to come in, but then in his favor, there's a whole lot of big runs for you to make the move on the merging to the backstretch.
They almost went 3 wide for 10th on back. Props to Jacob Oster, biggest mover on the day so far, up 6 so far. Works his way into the top 10. Chad Simpson might have a bit of front wing damage, or was that just the way the light reflected off the VRS satellite racing machine? Yes, it looks like still factory fresh there, with Tyler Dubois, Andrew Marquez squabbling behind them. It does look like as well Severi Seppa with Carlos Ruiz, Adam Crane. So Crane has been unable to really make too much of an impression on the day so far, Lorenzo. And let's jump on board with the VRS satellite racing car and take a look at his inputs right now. Down into 5th gear, slight lift off the throttle. As you see, trying to just hug down on the white line.
Yeah, not trying to be overly aggressive. If you try to run, full gas into it, you're going to get the arrow push, and that is going to kill your tires and your tire momentum between 1 and 2, and also 3 and 4. So not surprised to see Adam Crane be very conservative in the start of the races, maybe waiting for a yellow flag to shuffle things up. Yeah,
well, you said that, Lorenzo. We're now 14 laps into this one. I mean, we do have to start thinking, we don't have to start thinking about fuel runs just yet, because look at the weaving that's going on from Brazil, already back up into 5th position. As now Lichtenberg further down the order as Chad Simpson slides down his inside. Left side of the screen, let's quickly just pop up, Lorenzo, for the various viewers. You can see the movers and shakers here. It's very interesting to see the trends of the race so far.
Yeah, apparently Oster with the most moves at the start of the race. I think 7 spots up from what I'm looking over here, so making good moves, and actually now going for Jesper Ullman on the outside line.
I must say, I mean, qualifying back in the pack doesn't necessarily seem to be so bad. We saw it earlier on in this season as well, as Oster challenges Wilhite, who was last season contending with Lichtenberg for top 5 finish in this championship. Back into line for now, as they work basically single file, other than Orman and Alexis Newsom, who are side by side still. Incredible. I mean, the Lone Star State. We're heading there this coming weekend in the NTT IndyCar Series, and there's not necessarily so much optimism about the type of racing that we'll see, Lorenzo. But what we are seeing here on the virtual iRacing service is some pretty clean and some pretty racy action.
And some pretty racy action, despite they can contest, aggressive moves, aggressive weaving from one another to not allow the driver to come in and make that overtake. But hey, it's racing, and they're all coming to clean, and now Oster with a good move.
Was that Orman that ran up into the wall there, Lorenzo?
I think it was Newsom.
Ooh, well, whoever that was a big touch, and you're right, it might be Newsom, because she's slipping down the order. and is down on speed, about 10 clicks an hour. But, oh no, big crash in the background. Vilde Wall and Matt Holliber involved. Espity squeezes on through, I think. And for the first time today, we get the caution flag out, and the safety car will head back out onto the track. Marquez and Wallen have already reset back onto pit road, and well, let's go take a look and spool up the RaceSpotTV replay machine. We'll start first with what happened to Newsom, and yes, you were right. We'll jump back just a couple of seconds before we take a look at the main incident here, Lorenzo, and you're right. It was Newsom just washing up in the dirty air of Jesper Orman in front. Now we have to see what happens behind. And, oh, you can see sideways very slightly coming off the corner. And now let's check out what happens with Wallen and company.
Yeah, let's take a look at it, because that was a start-finish line, and I think Holliber actually went for the inside, and Wallen just couldn't see and covered the move way too late.
Now, that's an unfortunate one. We'll take a couple of looks at this, but I do think pit stops might be underway. Let's first jump on board with Andrew Marquez. This is not what his championship hopes would have wanted. And let's see what happens here. Holliber has gone very, very much down to the inside through the quad oval. And I think you're right. Wallen just not appreciating the situation there, Lorenzo. One more look. And let's jump on board, if we can, with Austin Espity. I'm struggling to pick him up here, but here we go.
And you can see now Wallen, I think, merges way too late, but it wasn't intentional, because I'm looking at the chat. Vilde apparently, admitted that the mistake was made, and Espity, just collected Adam Crane in the process.
It's not just Adam Crane.
Nothing the satellite could do.
It's Christian Macarelli as well. We'll keep looking at these replays. Let's start with Macarelli, who's already slowing down. Oh, and in fact, he does a good thing there to break that one down just in time and avoid plowing into the scene of the accident. We saw at the very least Crane, who is Simpson's teammate, as well as a number of other cars involved. But pit stops have been underway while we were cycling through the replays of the first caution on the night, working lap 21 out of 133 here in the Lone Star State. And what does 133 mean if I quickly use some math? 200 miles of action here, Lorenzo. So it's not a short race by any means, but when you consider that when the IndyCar Series comes here, they usually run 600 miles, we very much are not testing drivers' endurance here today.
You can test your patience, though. That's most definitely the injuries. I think some of them already did the Nürburgring 24, which already happened this weekend. I think Adam Crane might have been one of those guys that I saw in the splits, if I recall correctly. So, grabbing that experience, I really am to see how washed up the body pretty is, because mine is banged up. But it's been a really good one. I know you did it as well, Arjuna, even though your race ended in shambles.
Hey, it didn't end, Lorenzo. All good news.
Oh!
We got the car fixed, and I had to go and pound around the green hell until 1:40 in the morning with a severely damaged car. Can you tell how excited I am about that?
Very excited. I can judge from your voice.
Hey, but we got 4th place.
I got 3rd.
I'll take it. I mean, I will take it.
I'll take it every day, despite a disconnection, some crashes, 13 minutes of repairs back in the pits. I think 30 minutes overall of repairs, and still got P3. I don't want to kind of nudge it in, but thank you, iRacing staff, for crashing out your car.
Oh, which staff member was it that crashed the car?
I have to remember.
Well, if you do remember,
I know it wasn't Challenger, because Challenger didn't drive. It was. I have to remember, though.
Well, when you remember, I hope it's a member of the broadcast team, so there can be some conversations.
Unfortunately, it wasn't.
Oh, I remember commentating on the Jimmy Broadbent charity race, and we had Cisco and his team, Pickle Rick as they were called in that race. That was a lot of fun, and he ended up really being the bowling ball in the sea of pins. Back to green flag racing we go. It's Adam Blocker, Henry Bennett, Christopher Demerit, 1, 2, and 3. Marco Brazil has managed to work his way back up into 4th, but not a great jump there from the Brazilian. And the Swede, Jesper Orman, applies the pressure. Don't think there was too much of a change in the pit stops, Lorenzo. I do think we are going to start seeing some more intense action, though, as the laps start to tick away now.
Yeah, it looks like it. I think maybe the only mover might have been Austria grabbing Chad Simpson's position back in the pit lane, but that's pretty much it. That's pretty much that. Let's see how this restart goes as they are on lap 3.
Ooh, Oster's up 8 positions. What happened to Newsom, though? Has she managed to get the damage fixed? I don't think so, but only 8.1 seconds in the box. That would indicate that either there was no significant damage or it wasn't able to get the repairs. Let's see if we can take a look at the left side of the car. Excuse me, the right side of the car, because of course it was that side that came up out of the groove. Looks fairly okay to me, Lorenzo. Might just have been some momentum lost for the number 12 car.
Yeah, looks like it, because we saw her run way too wide on the exit out of 2, and then I think that was Oster and Simpson who caught up really close to her and had to make avoidance moves and then the overtake eventually. And now Oster going for an inside apex between 1 and 2, but getting a whole lot of momentum loss on the exit out of 2, and then allows Simpson to come in.
Some interesting stuff. Further up, Brazil has gotten past Demerit and now looks to try and find a way past the wall of Power Slide teammates. Blocker takes the inside, Bennett takes the outside, and we work through turn 1 with Christopher Demerit in the number 1 car. Highest I rating in the field, 7,151. It is incredible that now that we've got the switchover and drivers register and rely on their oval I rating, as you see Austin Espety down onto pit road, so clearly still damage to the Team Talent number 5 car. Brazil looking for a way to snake on past Blocker, but Blocker paints the white line. It does leave Bennett exposed. Brazil up into 2nd. Now the question becomes, how hard can he defend while also attacking at the same time here, Lorenzo?
It doesn't look like that Bennett was actually very aggressive on the move, right? It looked like he was actually trying to save a little bit of fuel, taking the feet off the gas. And now Brazil on the outside, but I don't think he's going to have the run in between 1 and 2. Let's see how he comes out of 2 and gets closer to Blocker.
Well, Blocker once more just goes down to the inside, makes life very easy for himself. Through the 24 degrees of banking at turn 4. Wonderful onboard look as here comes Brazil poking his nose to the outside. And this does remind me of a certain race. I'm struggling to remember the year. It was probably 2016, if I'm remembering correctly. Yes, because it was Graham Rahal that took victory that day. It was side by side across the line. What was the margin of victory, you might wonder? 8 thousandths of a second, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I think I remembered that as well. It was basically a fraction of a hair, like a lap of wing, like a little thick part of the wing that Graham Rahal the victory. That was an epic race, and usually you don't see that in Indy. You see more in NASCAR, where you have basically the 2 lines, people trading pains all the way down to the finish. But IndyCar can always provide some good races when it wants to in the Lone Star track.
Looks like Demerit down into 6th. Oster now up into the top 5. Now looking, though, to get on past Orman. Squeezes his nose to the outside line as we work our way through turn 3. Wonderful run, I must say. The RaceSpot stickers on that car, not just adding horsepower in this case, but clearly adding a healthy dose of confidence as well, Lorenzo.
Yeah, a little bit of confidence for you to get, basically nearly 10 spots up the field, and you're actually making work of Ullman, and you're going to have a little bit of a run using Henry Bennett's draft going into it. But the problem is you're on the outside, so you have to rely a little bit on luck and also the car setup for you to make the moves necessary to get closer and make the move. But now Demerit will have the inside. Probably the move will be sealed over here for the I-5G driver.
It is getting feisty, though, I tell you. I am getting very nervous at what I am seeing now. I mean, this is pre-IR18 sort of pack racing, if you ask me. We've got the top 12 cars separated by just 2 seconds. I mean, the top 14, which is the lead pack, 3.7 seconds separates them. AJ Musselman is 1.5 seconds adrift, but you never know with a group like this. Anything could happen at any moment in time, and it really does take the maximum amount of concentration, the maximum amount of focus, Lorenzo, when you're at speeds in excess of 200 miles an hour, basically the entirety of the lap, to make sure that you don't make contact, as looks like at the front of your field. It's lap traffic. I think
That's
Adam Crane.
Yeah.
So Crane makes life very easy for the rest of the field. I must say, that's what you want to see when you're on the oval and the car's going one lap down. Now lets his teammate go by as well, I believe.
Yeah, he doesn't have speed, looks like it. He's capping about 330, which is about 205 miles per hour down the straights. They're capping about 215, 216. Down in the middle of the pack is getting a little bit more feisty. I think I see Severy Seppa and Carlos Ruiz getting a little bit feisty with one another.
Side by side, Jesper Orman for a second trying to steal a podium position away from Henry Bennett. Opens the door for Jacob Oster. It's all about positioning. It's all about finding that right momentum. And clearly, it's not all about setup, at least at tracks like this. Momentum on the side of Oster. He is going to get up into the top 4, but how long can he stay there? 24 degrees of banking through 3 and 4. That will enable you to be a bit flatter and enable the momentum from that high line to build up more. But Orman defends across the start-finish line, holds on to the 4th position. Demerit still works the outside line, with Chad Simpson fending off Alexis Newsom on the edge of the top 10. A question I do have, Lorenzo, and one thing that I can quickly go and look at my teammates' data on VRS. How much is the fuel window here? Because I do think cautions are very much going to break up the strategy, but if we go longer and longer with just 16 cars out there circulating on track, 17, excuse me, because Matt Hollabo has managed to fix up his car and roll it back out onto the Texas Motor Speedway, we might end up seeing some very important green flag pit stops.
We might, when I was doing some testing and getting to know the track, I did about 26 laps on my stint. I think there was about 20 left, or 20 or 15 laps. I can be very wrong. I cannot remember fully, and that was about 30 minutes ago, 40 minutes ago. So it's kind of complicated for you to get it, recent memories.
The good news, Lorenzo, is I've got wonderful teammates at Powerslide Motorsport, so I can go and check in on their VRS data. Think we're looking at about a 50-lap window, so we're working lap 20.
I'm not far off then.
Not too far off, so, let's see what it's like. Of course, saving when you're back in the pack and, maybe Henry Bennett's position. That's what you'll be looking to do is, Oster up the track. Has he got any damage to that car? Demerit, I think, wants to get on by. At the very least, momentum's been checked up here, Lorenzo.
Yeah, checked up a little bit for Oster. That got a little bit scary. Scraping the wall. I think there's no damage for that number 10 car. But that brings Demerit. That brings also the Widow. And slightly behind there's Tyler DeBosch looking for a mistake from either driver.
We are heading into, I would say, a window where we're going single file. You can see wonderful static shot as the cars rocket their way off of turn 4. It's really only Brazil able to challenge. But as I say that, Willite throws a move down to the inside. Loving this action as Jacob Oster almost unsure where to run because Demerit's in his mirrors, getting all sorts of confused with the aero screen here because it does very much change the way that I think you use your mirrors, but Oster able to hold on to a top 5 finish across the start-finish line to complete lap number 44. And we are halfway through the fuel window. And like I was saying, Lorenzo, it is starting to get a bit more spread out. Not necessarily losing the pack itself, but a bit harder to fight side by side.
Hey, it is. Last car in the field that is actually in the lead lap is Christian McCrally, basically half a lap behind. Because Adam Blocker is actually going to turn number 1 and 2. And McCrally is down into 4, opening up a new lap. So it spread up a little bit, but 2 seconds, maybe 2.5 seconds. You're still within range. You just have to work with the guy ahead of you. If you're within the draft train, try to get closer, even though you have to compensate the tires that you're gonna waste down the line.
Let's check in with the weather conditions. Wonderful. I'm loving the sound of the engines flying through turn 1. Track is heated up very slightly. Won't be making such a factor in terms of the... I'm just loving the sound of the engines rocketing their way on past. 15-kilometer-an-hour winds, though, Lorenzo. That's the thing that I'm a bit more intrigued in now, because I did think it would come down very slightly, but if anything, it's intensifying. It's
intensified, 1 kilometer up, windows to the southeast, and I don't know how much that is going to do in terms of, bringing you speed, but that might bring you a little bit of problems in terms of car stability, maybe into the latter portions of the stint. I'm not really sure, as they caught up to Matt Hollyball that already said he would be on the outside line, not putting a whole lot of pressure on the drivers, making it just easy for everybody to overtake.
Well, if I'm reading this track map correctly, the pit road basically runs north. So, and if you go in the wrong direction, sorry, I have to make that clear. So if you're going down the pit road in the correct direction, it blows south. So that gives you an indication then of which way the wind is blowing. It will be coming at a slight angle across the track. And we have seen in weeks past, especially at Milwaukee, for example, drivers not keeping on top of their tools and maybe having a bit too much weight jacker dialed into the car and then losing the rear end because it pitches around on you, nothing you can do. And add the additional factor of the wind, Lorenzo, it's something that I'd be a little concerned about if I was behind the wheel of one of these Dallara IR18s.
I would be concerned about it as well, because you have to take account of, running the weight jackers, especially the positive ones. You hit that understeer on the exit, and exit out of 2 is not the easiest one. The car gets really light in 4 as well, especially in the banking migration towards the slight banking, nearly flat portion of the track. It can get a little bit dicey, so that's why I was saying drivers might make those mid-corners to late corner adjustments to make sure the weight jacker is appropriate to the entry and exit out of some corners and make the car stable.
I think I just hallucinated something there. I thought I saw a car slamming down into the inside wall, but fortunately we are still under green. The timing screen doesn't indicate anything, but meanwhile Henry Bennett has dropped to the end of the top 5. Starting to get a bit more separated now. We were seeing the top 10 separated by just 2 seconds at one point. Now separated by 4 with the top 14 now very much starting to get broken up with Ruiz, Musselman, and Macarelli losing track of the leading pack across the start-finish line once more to complete lap number 53, working our way towards the halfway point of this race and also towards the first of the green flag runs. Ooh, Jacob Oster down on pit road. And also in our YouTube chat, so the contact that we saw him make, Lorenzo, clearly terminal damage there.
Yeah, and this is one of the tricky things about the IR18, right? If you scrape the car, just like a slight graze, even if it is relatively nothing, right, Arjuna, you can lose about 15 to 20 kilometers up in your speed, and not even a fix would actually fix that. So it's unfortunate to see Jacob Oster, having such a good run, but a slight touch to the wall basically turns your race whole lot upside down. And you got a yellow flag.
Yellow flag waves. It's Carlos Ruiz. Big damage there.
Adam Crane too.
Oh, that's lap traffic getting mixed up, unfortunately. We'll go take a look at the RaceSpotTV replay as Carlos Ruiz basically says, well, I guess I've got the contact already. Might as well take the penalties for cutting down onto pit road like that. Let's see if we can pick up what happens here. This is working their way down the back straightaway as Jacob Oster gives us the confirmation that he Alt F4 to save us from a yellow flag. So thank you there, Jacob. We will try and pick up the replay. And that is a bizarre one, Lorenzo.
So what happens is Adam Crane was saying on the the automated keyboards
Pit road.
that he was going into the pit lane. Yeah, so he was going into the pit road, and there are 2 ways for you to tackle going to the pit road. First, you go from the backstretch into 3 and you basically drive the apron and you keep the car control. And the second one is do what Adam Crane did. But the problem is Carlos Ruiz is just so close to Adam Crane's car, and it basically just sent him into the wall.
Let's check out this final lap for Jacob Oster and see if there was maybe a bigger incident that we missed. Okay, coming behind, I believe that's Tyler Dubosch in through turn 3. Drifting up the track, looks okay here. So it must be on this next lap, because of course that would have been the final completed lap that was scored in the iRacing scoring official race control programming. There's the contact. Lorenzo, I did not hallucinate things. I definitely saw a car slamming down into the inside wall. I am sorry that it was Jacob Oster. I'm just glad to be vindicated there.
Well done, Arjuna. Your eyesight is 20/20. Mine might be I don't know.
Oh, I promise.
But it's not 20/20.
I promise you, my eyesight is most definitely not 20/20. That's why I wear glasses. But I'm just glad that I thought I was going crazy. I'm not even exaggerating, Lorenzo. I genuinely thought I was seeing things. So I'm glad that that's not the case, and I don't need to go to any sort of testing facility, because clearly I've got the best eyesight in the world. That's what we're taking from this. Looks like Hollowbo will come down onto pit road this time around with the lights still on the pace car. Everyone came down from the leading pack, so it negates once more green flag pit stops, Lorenzo, but it does mean that if we go green to the end from here, that last cycle is going to be a slightly shorter stop. Let's see how the different drivers decide to approach this race.
Yeah, apparently, if we go all the 50 laps, that will be about 108. That will be, doing quick mathematics here, 108, 133. That is about 25 laps, roughly. So the drivers can do. It's basically half a stint. So drivers can go for the quick pit stop. Maybe some funky strategies, going for tire changes or not, depending on circumstances. We'll see. Those bluffs actually sometimes win races.
And, well, once more, we're now in this very interesting phase where tires are very much fresh. The pack is regrouped. I would expect some pretty intense stuff at this point in time. Well, how do I say this nicely? Changes under the pit strategy there, or at least under the pit stops.
Yeah.
Orman into second, Brazil into third, Wilhite up into fourth, and Henry Bennett sixth. This is a big shakeup, and it will be interesting on this restart, Lorenzo, with Orman up 3 positions on the day, Chris Wilhite up 8. A couple of cars that did not qualify very well.
Yeah, good to see that, especially Whittle right now, seeing him in P4. He started all the way up into P12, worked the pit strategies, and also was engaged in a few battles in the mid pack for maybe 7th and 8th place, and even 9th with Alex Newsom not far behind. And now good to see the Whittle is now up in the top 5, challenging top 3. It's all coming down to the restart, because last time we saw a restart it wasn't a good restart for Brazil, and Whittle is right behind Brazil.
Okay, well, you helped me last week with man, I'm gonna butcher the name, so I've tried not to say it, but Adriano Pinheiro.
There you go.
Pinheiro. I'll help you with Chris, because his name is what have you been calling him?
Okay, I've been bamboozled by iRacing.
No,
sorry, that's why
it's hard to read.
Yeah. So is Wilty?
I think it's Wilhite. At least that's That's how I've been saying it now for a couple of seasons. And by the way, as we work our way down on the back straight with lights off on the pace car, absolutely delighted to announce that RaceSpotTV will continue coverage of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship in Season 3. A community coming together to raise the funds. Wonderful and excited because voting, track scheduling is underway, so head on over to the iRacing forums if you want to influence what maybe we head out to the next season. Should be some interesting races, of course, always aligning with the NTT IndyCar Series, but you can have your voice. Maybe we visit the streets of Chicago. I know Evan Adams would be pretty happy about that one, but pace car back down onto the safety of pit lane for the second time today. Looking at Brazil leaving a bit more of a buffer this time around.
Not a good start.
But if anything, that will help him draft up even more. But Wilhite with an equally poor launch, I would say. So single file, they fly their way down in through turn 1. Side by side, you have to go back to 7th, where Tyler Dubosh and Chad Simpson for a moment thought about it. Building up the speed. Flying down in towards turn 3. Blocker still dominating this race. It's been lights to flag so far. That's still not halfway through. Here comes Orman on the charge, and to the outside comes the Swede.
Yeah, still side by side is Ullman. He's going to have to run through turn 2. That will be Adam Blocker, but not so much. And now Orman actually getting a little bit ahead of Blocker, heading into 3.
This is impressive, and I will say Brazil building up ahead of steam now with the draft as they continue to fight it out side by side. At the line, it is the blue and black of Adam Blocker, but here comes, now Chris Wilhite throws a move down to the inside. Don't think Brazil was expecting that one. And as they work off of the corner, once more Orman just tailing along, and now this is when the pack start to form up, Lorenzo. Loud engines, I love it, but as Henry Bennett as well will close on the back of Christopher Demerit, we'll get into that same window where a too wide effectively becomes the norm.
Yeah, it will be the norm as I see Demerit into a very, very wide line into the outside. Now Brazil gets the position back from Wilhite. There you go. I actually didn't butcher the name this time around, Arjuna. Thank you so much. And Orman not being able to make the move on Blocker. Blocker actually doing a really good job on the inside line.
Wilhite for a second wiggled his way to the inside. Demerit caught it just in time. We stay green flag as Wilhite, the Ohio native, tries to squeeze his way past Brazil in the Team Maxon white, black, and red. And Brazil, for now, on the outside, relegated to the 5th position as Demerit also sweeps on past. Henry Bennett wants to have a bit of this action as well. There we go, though. 2 wide, 2 deep. It's Wilhite and Demerit for 3rd and 4th. It's Orman and Blocker for 1st and 2nd, but no change at the front. Working our way towards the halfway point of this race. 11 cars, Lorenzo. That's our leading pack, separated by 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, basically nothing. So if you car around, you're going to get some places. And now Orman losing a lot of places now because now Demerit made the move. And there's Wilhite coming in the inside lane as well. Brazil trying to follow through. He wasted a little bit of rubber trying to keep up with these guys, but still within 0.17 from Adam Blocker in P1.
I will say, Lorenzo, I mean, credit to you. It's only taken you one opportunity for me to correct you before you've gotten his name correct. It's taken me a long time to get Adriano's name. But here,
it's those Brazilian names.
What's happened to Jesper Orman? He slid back into 5th.
Yeah.
Demerit's up into 2nd. And now I have a question. Is there damage on Orman's car? Has he slid up into the outside wall? But for now, seems to be regaining momentum. Expectations tempered for now, but still a long way to go. We're just getting towards the halfway marker, as Marco Brazil looking very feisty down on the white line, Lorenzo, trying to find a way past.
Yeah, but he cannot get through it. Has to tuck back the car and get within Adam Blocker's shaft once again. Wilhite has to get closer and cannot make the move, and they all line up kind of in a little bit of a single foul. But as well, Henry Bennett and Tyler Dubois now joining the fray for a 7-car pack.
Brazil's internet.
Even Newsom.
And Newsom's back up. That's great to see as well. So looks like slightly longer in the box for Newsom, but just fuel there. No damage repairs once more. Car starting to regain momentum, at least for her, as Demerit looking for a bit of an over-under. Working lap 12. So as mentioned, this will, if we can stay green, which is a big if you ask me, given what we're seeing right now. I'm not trying to be a negative Nancy or anything, Lorenzo, but this is incredible stuff.
Yeah, this is incredible stuff. Somewhat aggressive, but this is racing. You want to be aggressive and try to work some lines. I see Carlos Ruiz now with some damaged tire going into the pit lane.
I believe that was the 20 of Carlos Ruiz, so damage still not fixed on that one. Wonderful aerial look brought to you by ATVO, the graphical partners at RaceSpotTV. Side by side, Jesper Orman slides his way back up into a podium position. Almost contact there between him and Wilhite. These guys are not giving each other any racing room, and somehow still making it work. I tell you what, Lorenzo, we're going to stick on this camera angle for a couple more laps because you get a great view of how each of the cars is positioning themselves. Look at Brazil there.
So close.
Orman loses a whole bunch of momentum. Now down into 7th. I wonder if there was some contact, or if even, excuse me, as the engines get very loud in my ears, I wonder if Orman started to get a little bit loose there, Lorenzo.
I think he got loose in between 1 and 2, and the car just decided to understeer over the arrow push because you can see now he makes the move on Chad Simpson. Let's look at the replay this one, Arjuna, because I'm actually rather curious.
Yeah, let's get a closer look if we can. Ooh, I don't know. We're going to have to jump on board with Brazil if we can, because there's not a much better way to take a look than from the driver's eye view. to the right-hand side of the cockpit and take a look at this one. No, I'm not sure about if there was any contact there.
No, it doesn't look like it, but just a scary moment. And there's
oh wait, that's because we
jumped.
jumped back a little bit too far for some reason, I do believe.
Yeah.
Let's stick on this one once more. On the roll bar camera, yes, this will be the one because Orman is directly in front of Brazil. Yeah, he gets loose.
Whoa.
And you know, if there wasn't contact there, it was by the smallest of margins. One more look. Let's see if we can zoom in on this one, Lorenzo, and go into the super slow-mo as well.
Car gets loose, and then Brazil with a very, oh my goodness, Arjuna.
Oh, and let's jump straight back to live pictures. Alexis Newsom has had a small issue, but because she's come down to the inside, we stay under green, and she sticks out there on track. She will get swarmed in just a few moments. A quick look at what's happened to the white car. Ooh, that looks like too much weight jacker potentially. Slides down the track.
It starts all the way up into... Oh, okay, we got a yellow flag.
And it's for
Newsom again.
Yeah, I think there's significant damage to this car because clearly not handling well, even coming down into turn 3. Take a look at the second of the incident. She's down in 4th gear and struggling to hold on to this one, Lorenzo.
Yeah, it's weird to see something happen for Newsom, but apparently the suspension doesn't look to be damaged. I think it was just spinning in a very critical point of the track.
Let's watch from here. I've jumped back slightly further from when the first of the spins happened. This, by the way, is crucial because it means drivers can come down onto pit road. What did you see, Lorenzo? Sorry.
I see Musselman actually getting losing the front wing after a second incident that follows up after the first one.
There we can see the slight rear end already loose. Let's jump back to live because, as mentioned, it's pit stop time, and this is crucial. Drivers can make it to the end from here if we do the math. 80 plus 50. They are coming down in towards turn number 4. Does anyone try anything different? This is the money stop then. Everyone down in this leading group. Blocker, Demerit, Wilhite, Brazil, and Bennett, the top 5. I believe that was... Who's that parked the wrong way in pit road?
Crane. That's Adam Crane.
Oh, well, Adam Crane. Unfortunately not being your day just yet either, but this is important. This is when... Don't miss your box. Don't miss your marks either. Up on the jacks for the final time. Good pit stop from drivers behind. Blocker gets beaten out by Demerit. Demerit will lead then. No longer a power slide domination here. It's I5G that find themselves at the front. Adam Blocker in second with Marco Brazil in third, Lorenzo.
Yeah, Wilhite 4. Henry Bennett jumping up 1 spot, going to P5. Orman backing out of 6. Dubois, great charge from the number 8 car in 7th place, retaining his spot. I think the biggest loser over here might be a little bit, I don't want to say, but might be Lichtenberg.
I think Lichtenberg was anyway back in the pack. I think he'd been struggling since earlier in the race. At one point, he was, I think, 14th, 2 seconds adrift. So, could be worse. Musselman is still stationary, by the way, on pit road. So, unfortunate for him. Let's take a look if we can at the damage to his car. Unfortunately, I don't want to give us a close look as it seems. Oh, there he rolls. Looks not perfect, but at least somewhat repaired there, Lorenzo.
And somewhat repaired. I think that was more extensive damage than the wing that I saw on his incident with Newsom, because Newsom spun on 3 and 4 right after she spun out and at 1 going to 2. And Musselman was actually in high speed and had to take avoidance moves, and I think went to the apron and the car just got really loose and might have touched the wheel. I don't know. It was a very complicated one to watch.
So Carlos Ruiz should cycle around at the front. You can see him stacked up behind the, what do we call it? The iRacing sedan?
Oh, please.
The generic iRacing pace car? The sedan? I don't know what you call it. All I know is it looks like a combination of if you had a couple of car manufacturers throw one of those four-door saloons together and they had a baby. That might be the end result, Lorenzo.
Yeah, in my point of view, it looks like it is a mixture between a Skoda, then a Ford, then something else that I'm trying to make up over here. I would say like a BMW, but it's complicated. I know it wasn't made by Barney.
That's true. Barney the Flagman getting very famous on Twitter as well. Lights are still on the pace car. I would expect them to turn off this time around. Ruiz would cycle around. Demerit would be in control when we came back to the green flag then. And for the first time, Adam Blocker has to contend with some dirty air. We'll see if anyone can make a pass work here, Lorenzo. If anyone's going to do it, you'd have to think it's Adam Blocker.
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting restart. I think it will all depend on how Demerit will get off the gas and if Adam Blocker can follow through. Of course, there is Carlos Ruiz right in front of him. I think there's one guy in between. Oh, I was gonna say there's one guy, but this is Krill's Bullhide. The color of the car just bamboozled me a little bit. But I gotta say that mate purple is just sensational to look.
So, lights are off on the pace car, so we will be back to green. For those wondering, yes, this is officially sanctioned in some ways by the NTT IndyCar Series. This is the official iRacing IndyCar Open Championship. My name is Arjuna Kankipati. Alongside is Lorenzo Bonder. Got a couple more rounds of this season still to come. Next week we will head to the Circuit of the Americas as we stay in the Lone Star State, but this time heading to the road course. Should be a very fascinating trip, but no alternate track limits will be on offer then.
Oof.
You know what I'm talking about there, Lorenzo.
Yeah, I know.
That penultimate corner. I love it, depending on if I'm in an official race or not, because either you get it perfect and you nail it without getting the off-track, or you're basically reliant on the off-track to find any sort of speed. So it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Adam Blocker, I don't know if he will be around. We will ask him hopefully in the post-race show, but for now, eyes focus forward because he's got to get on past Christopher Demerit to take victory here from the Texas Motor Speedway. Good launch from the number one machine that finds himself up 3 on the day and in the prime position to disrupt the title challenge from Adam Blocker. Wilhite in third, up 9 as well. Gets a very good launch as we get back to the green flag action. And once more, Brazil struggles to get anything done. Blocker has already been
Look
passed.
at Wilhite.
Yeah, this I think is going to be interesting because he might, Lorenzo, have taken a setup which only works in clean air and now has to contend the dirty air of 2 cars in front of him.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting scenario now that Adam Blocker is facing Aurelio's car, getting way too wide on the exit out of 2. That will bring Henry Bennett into the conversation over here as well. But again, yeah, you said it pretty much spot on. Brazil struggling with the restarts.
And Blocker has a good view now of side-by-side between Wilhite and Demerit. Now struggles will Blocker to find any sort of purchase to make the move happen because inside-outside line, you can see him sliding up the track in the dirty air. Wilhite trying to snake his way below the inside of Christopher Demerit, but Demerit, a very, very experienced contender. He will make life as difficult as possible for Ohio's own. Top 3 separated by 8/10 from Brazil on back, with Henry Bennett trying to get on past. Now the question I start to think about, Lorenzo, with only 11, 12 cars on the leading lap, if we do get another caution late in this race, does someone try coming down pit road and taking some tires?
I think so. I think everybody might come down into pit lane and get those tires as Adam Blocker now goes into P2, passes with Chris Whittle, and now goes on the hunt with Chris Demerit as they come out of 2. But then again, it's those strategies that sometimes work, but you shut up so much the right-hand side tires that I don't know if it's going to be able to hold during the very final laps of a race against cars that have better rubber.
Side by side, here comes Blocker trying to find some purchase on the outside to sneak on past. Here comes Brazil as well, trying to slide up into the podium positions. Ooh, the momentum on his side. The Brazilian back up into third. That's where he started this race. Here comes Bennett to follow him around the outside as well. This is some pretty crazy stuff. Although, I do think at some point, maybe we might see the 2 wide, 2 deep, as here comes Wilhite back to the outside line. And there you go, 2 wide, 2 deep. What was I saying, Lorenzo?
Yeah, 2 wide, 2 deep, and sometimes doesn't work, but here comes now Real high back once again, getting P3 out of Marco Aurelio, Brazil. And again, it's a frenzy out here, and that just brings slightly Chad Simpson and 70 step up from P7 P8 into that 8 car train, battling for top 5 in the lead.
Let's jump on board with Marco Aurelio Brazil as he tries to find purchase, tries to get momentum. Will Height tries to just find some draft, and indeed that's all that he needed to fend off for now. But the Team Max on colors heading into the month of May. Ooh, he looked a little bit loose coming off of turn 4, if you ask me there. I was just taking a look at Twitter under that last caution, Lorenzo. I try not to do it on broadcast, but I did it for a specific reason. I went over to Graham Rahall's Twitter, and guess what? There's a wonderful clip of the finish of that race, the one that we were talking about earlier, where it was side by side with Hinchcliffe and Graham Rahal. I must say, I mean, we don't necessarily talk about this track in the same way now with the PJ1 that's now on the outside of turn 1 and 2, but it's incredible as they go 3 wide for second position.
Yeah, it's getting a little bit more dicey than usual going for the second position, even if you won at some sports, because the Marion is actually defending from Adam Blocker, and he's making the power slide driver put up the work and try to make the overtake. The problem is he doesn't have enough room to run actually to make that overtake as they go side by side into one once again.
And what was I saying in that entry onto pit road the last time around? This was the important stop, and it was 0.4 of a second's difference between Demerit and Blocker as Brazil tries to get down in front of Wilhite. Nothing doing there. Momentum on the side of Blocker, though, as they exit turn 2. And if you can't get past and into the race lead, the next best thing, Lorenzo, is to get past as we come to the checkered flag.
Yeah, so basically it's cooking the other driver and see what it comes out of it in the end of the race as we're approaching lap 95, so that will be about 37 laps to the 37 laps-ish to the finish. 38 laps to the finish.
I tell you what, let's make our lives easier. Press the button. 40 to go, so it'll be 39 at the line. Matt Hollabo scampers out of the way. Oh, look at that train of cars. Simpson around the outside of Henry Bennett. Oh, Brazil got a bit loose through the lap traffic. Opens the door for the VRS Satellite Racing machine.
Matt Simpson.
Back up into 4th, Lorenzo.
Yeah, insane. We were talking about Chad Simpson, having some struggles through the mid-pack, but look, the car is flying through number 1 and 2.
Oh, and he's all over the tail end of the leaders as well. He will scoop up a podium position, I would think, using the 20 degrees of banking through turn 1, but no draft on offer as Blocker dips down once more. So 38 to go. It will be 37 at the line. Very much, I think, type of race that we didn't necessarily expect as they go 3 wide for a second. Oh, was that Henry Bennett? Yes, it was. He's getting bold for a driver that's maybe talked about not being this aggressive in the past. It's good to see Lorenzo. But the fact that he's fighting for a title is bringing out the aggressiveness of the driver that usually drives the 007.
Yeah, he usually drives the 007, but over here he's not driving the 007. He's driving the number 2, right? So the British is actually trying to make the order. Still being patient. He's still not being overly aggressive and trying to climb up the field. But Brazil, I think he got himself back up together because he made a move on Bennett and now on the inside of the VRS Satellite driver out of Chad Simpson. And
Bennett had to lift out of the throttle because of that dirty air. It means Simpson can cover off the move from the 2 machine back out front. Still side by side between Demerit and Blocker, but inside line reigns supreme. As for 3rd position, Brazil trying to sweep all the way to the outside. 35
trying to get some side draft.
Trying to get side draft. Not necessarily a thing in the IndyCar, Lorenzo, and I have to say at the speeds that these cars are doing, it's 350 kilometers an hour across the line. I don't know if I'd feel so comfortable trying to side draft my other competitors.
Same. If it isn't comfortable for you, it actually has more skills than me in an IndyCar. Imagine a plebeian like me.
Well, and the other thing is as well, right? I mean, the NASCAR stock cars have undergone a significant overhaul to improve the side drafting models, especially on the super speedway. Lots of praise around those efforts, but a very different type of a bubble, if you will, that forms around these cars, the amount of downforce that they have as well. Take a look off the rearward shot then from the blue, yellow, and black of Christopher Demerit for the I5G team. Wilhite holds on to third, with Blocker in his rearview mirrors trying to get on past.
Yeah, and also I really want to bring up one thing that might be very interesting. About a 1.7 back from this entire package, Christian McCrally. He's about 0.8 of a second from 70 Stepa. He can actually get the draft and maybe have a 10-car battle for top 10, top 5 win. I'm going to get lost in words over here.
And with 20 starters, we did expect to have some relatively nice and long green flag runs, meaning strategy would prove relatively important. It hasn't necessarily played out that way, but you do have still, if I'm counting correctly here, 15 cars still circulating with Newsom, Ruiz, and Matt Hollabo all one lap down, along with Tyler Dubois. As here comes Chris Wilhite.
Bennett.
And Bennett as well, Lorenzo.
Yeah, Bennett making the move on Brazil, but now Brazil trying to counter the move, going to the outside line. What is actually Brazil is doing, but now he runs way too high ahead, lift off the gas to avoid the wall, but still retains that P4 from Henry Bennett. But now Henry starting to be a little more aggressive as we have about 30 laps to go, going into 29.
At the line, who leads? That's the important thing, because if you can make the outside work coming off the corner, you might take the checkered flag. And indeed, across the stripe last time around, Lorenzo, it was Ohio's own Chris Wilhite that led at the line.
Yeah, and I really don't want to be banging, saying probably proper things here, but I think Aurelio's car is starting to struggle a little bit with tires, running that outside line, getting more weight jackers. And once you get the weight jackers and you actually give some more stress out of the tires into especially exit out of 2, you're going to struggle much more with dirty air, but still managing to keep up with the top 5. But at what cost?
Tyler Dubois, by the way, has come down onto pit road. I think day done in the number 8 for him. Not the way I'm sure he would have wanted it to go. Wilhite then back to the inside. Blocker sweeps around the outside. Momentum. We've talked about that being the name of the game. Ooh, Tyler Dubois actually rolls back out of pit road. So 4 laps down. Might have scraped the wall, I think, there, but will live to fight another day. Top 3 then. Demerit, Blocker, Wilhite, Brazil. With Bennett trying to get up. Oh, it's so close between Bennett and Brazil on the edge of the top 5. Let's get some predictions from you, Lorenzo. I don't think you can actually predict this. I mean, if you are an odds maker giving odds, you basically just say anyone could win this. But who do you think can come out on top? Brazil's starting to struggle. Demerit's showing just what Blocker did in the first 2 green flag runs, where if you can hold the inside line, you'll basically also win the race.
I'm going to go and say Henry Bennett actually is a really good spot, making the patience work, climbing up those spots, not being overly aggressive, being aggressive at the proper time. And then, let's see, because Brazil now got a mega run outside of 2. Use the draft and trying to get back Henry Bennett's spot. But I'll say Henry Bennett.
Can he get around the outside, though? Not for now. Left side of the screen, by the way. Take a look at the various movers and shakers as Demerit and Blocker. For a moment, it swapped around, but it is still Demerit that leads here, and it was Demerit at the line. He's up 3 on the day. Wilhite up 9 on the day. If he can hold on for this podium, that would be an incredible story there. Simpson's up 1. Seppa's up 9. He's used the attrition very much to his favor. Macrelli, Musselman as well. 9 and 7 on the day for them, but for the likes of Hollabo, Crane, who didn't qualify, but still won't be thrilled with how his race went. Espiti, Marquez, and Wallen, not the easiest of days. Blocker is having to defend for 2nd position now, and I wonder if also helping out his teammate Lorenzo, because Henry Bennett is trying to get on past for a podium position here.
He is, you can see both of them trying to go for lines that are equal to each other as they're going to 1. Now see higher line for both power slide drivers, now merging into an inside line because there's Matt Hollyball on the exit out of 2. That's a little bit closer with his roll height, but gives enough room for the number 4 car to actually maneuver and make the safe move. But that might break the pack a little bit. And Marco Aurelio Brazil, we were mentioning, struggled quite a lot with the latter portion of the stint.
He's getting boxed up behind Hollabo. He's down into 9th. Brazil, oh no, he's going to struggle now as well to fight his way back with just 21 to go. That's Christian Macarelli trying to scamper on past, but I think decides not for now. Excuse me, Alexis Newsom trying to scamper on past. Back out front then. The top two not very much separated out, but there is separation forming from 4th to 5th. But I think if Chad Simpson and Jesper Orman can get working together here, Lorenzo, they will very quickly draw back up to this leading pack.
They're slowly crawling that back up. The gap between Orman and Bennett is about 0.6 of a second. It will get closer. Orman is looking pacey on that car as they're battling once again in the Merit. Now has to cover the inside because Blocker has a really good run.
So we expect it to get hot here in the Lone Star State, but it's only going to intensify with 19 laps to go. The I5G driver of Christopher Demerit leads from Adam Blocker, Chris Wilhite, and Henry Bennett. It was a power slide 1-2 coming to the green flag. They will not be content with finishing 2nd and 4th, but it's not going to be easy as well. Very much reminiscent of old-style Texas racing. No grip strip on the outside of turn 1 and 2. No new body kit on this Dallara IR18, and I'm sure while there are some people that harken back to this type of a race, at the same time, Lorenzo, we always get reminded, seemingly at the worst possible times, of what safety innovations like the aero screen really bring to the IndyCar paddock, and that's just some safety of mind. I mean, you look back to what we saw at Barber Motorsports Park just a couple of weekends ago with Joseph Newgarden spinning it over the crest of the hill, and then Ryan Hunter-Reay and Graham Rahal getting together. I mean, sometimes you don't want to see that kind of stuff, but it's always a testament to how hard the IndyCar team and indeed the global sanctioning body works to keep these drivers safe.
And it's insane to think that they are at the forefront of, trying to bring security. Of course, we have the other marquees trying to bring security into racing and make drivers a whole lot safer. Oh, Wilhite getting massive block by Carlos Ruiz, I think, on the exit out of 2. We'll lost some time to Adam Blocker and Chris Demerit. And now there's nobody to challenge Adam Blocker as he's lean shots and probably will take P1 out of the Merit.
Does he manage to sweep around the outside? There's longer distance to travel for the number 3 car. 2 of the IndyCar's finest side by side down the back straightaway, and indeed Blocker into the race lead. And Lorenzo, that's the first time we've seen the lead swap out on track.
Yeah, that's the first time I think in the last 30 laps or something, 35 laps, we see the lead change, and that's what we want to see. We really want to see now these engaging battles. I don't know if the Merit's car might be a little bit affected with the rubber itself. They are on 40 laps within the stint, and we have about 13 or 14 laps to go. So now for us, the talk has to be fuel because they can go up to 50. Can they save up 4 additional laps?
They should be good, I think, because, of course, part of these laps were under caution as well, Lorenzo. But here comes Wilhite trying to make it 3 wide down the middle. Whoa. Okay, that's not going to work out there, Chris, but you can keep trying at the very least. Down the back straightaway with 13 laps to go. This has been a fascinating one, and definitely, I think will be a photo finish at the line, Lorenzo.
It does look like it, yes. A photo finish between 3 cars. I don't know how close can Harry Bennett getting to those cars. I can see, I think, the car going back into 4th gear and then climbing up all the way up to 5th. Yeah, I was correct, as he was actually going into 1 and 2. Downshifting, trying to get as much grip as he could possibly get, and then a good launch out of 2, but he cannot get closer to that 3-way pack as in front of him.
No yellows, please, as some of the YouTube chat requests one. We are at that point as well where it would definitely start to raise the question, does it end the race? And
yellow!
Oh, come on! That is the curse if I've ever seen one. I'll be honest, I have no idea why. I'm seeing no one.
Henry Bennett is involved.
Oh, Henry Bennett, but seems to still be relatively okay here. So let's go take a look at it. It should be a 7 or 6 lap shootout to the end. Jesper Orman directly onto pit road. I have a feeling it's Bennett and Orman mixing up with one another. So we've spooled it back slightly too far. Excuse me for that mistake. We'll have to ride around for at least a lap or so, but don't expect any of these cars down onto pit road, so
Bennett has to come down into pit road.
Is that how much damage he's got, Lorenzo?
He has a lot of side pod damage. He's from left. His left side pod is nearly getting away. Like it's veering off.
so here we go. It's down into turn 3. That's not the commentator's jinx. Sorry, the YouTube chat. That was the YouTube chat that started it. No, no, no. You're not placing this one on me. I've had too many of them in various...
Oh, so people are not going into the pit lane. Okay, this is where it gets interesting.
So Simpson's down on pit road. It's not everyone. Here's the incident, though. Let's watch this. Excuse me again for spooling it back slightly too far. Hard to tell from that vantage point. We'll take one more look at the aerial coverage brought to us by ATVO graphical partners at RaceSpotTV, Lorenzo. This is not even going to get us the best angle. This will be better. Super slow-mo. It's hard to say. I'm always hesitant when it's my teammates. I don't really think Henry Bennett does anything wrong there.
No, he doesn't. He just stays on his line, and unfortunately, Orman just... I don't want to say understeers because it is a natural line for you to come up a little bit, but I think he just came way too up and miscalculated, as you will probably wanted to stay side by side with Bennett through the backstretch session, but just couldn't work it out.
All right, so question now becomes, who came down onto pit road? Who is in effect playing blocker?
I can tell you.
I was being careful about how I chose my words, but there's no way to avoid that pun. Who was playing blocker for Adam Blocker on the old tires out front? There's no good way to get around that, Lorenzo. I'm sorry, but here we go. Left side of the screen. Chad Simpson, Brendan Lichtenberg, Marco Brazil, and guess who? Christian Macarelli as well.
Yeah, so every single, basically P5 all the way down into P9. Henry Bennett is included as well, but of course he's going to be out of this race probably with the side body image damage, and he's not going to be able to fix the engine as well, I think. But P5 all the way up into P8, I got to say...
Sorry, Lorenzo, I'm going to cut you off here. Adam Crane, still there on pit road?
You know, hope is the last one that dims away, right?
I'm just saying, a lesser man might have alt F4'd, but at the very least, it's comedy gold. Sorry for cutting you off there, Lorenzo. I know you had something important to say.
No, but now, first and foremost, Bennett back in the pit lane, but I don't know how effective this is going to be. I think he's still in the lead lap. McCrelly in P8. We haven't talked about him all day. He had some struggles, but grabbing those spots up, you know, you're now inside the top 8. Who knows? Maybe a big one could actually benefit him quite a lot.
Well, here is where it's... I've started to lean heavily into the meme. Championship implications, Lorenzo. I mean, Henry Bennett leading this championship. I mean, if he can stay on the lead lap, that's ultimately what he's looking for. Because the worst he'll finish then is 9th, and he'll be hoping for some chaos as we come to the checkered flag. Maybe a couple of cars take each other out, and Bennett can maybe salvage some sort of a top 5 finish here.
Yeah, and especially with the now this landscape of Adam Blocker, Demaria Rollhide, and 70 Seppa staying in the pit lane with 46 laps in effectively 42 laps in their tires, right? So the tires must be shot. The guys will be screaming for grip, right? And the other ones basically won't give a damn and just full throttle all the way down into every single corner and working with the weight jackers to keep the car stable. So there is a really good chance. I'm gonna say, I want to knock into wood, say not those. I don't want it to happen. And then you can say it's a commentator's code, but I can totally see Ayala over here come up once again.
So we will go back because the lights are off on the pace car, the iRacing.com pace car, with 6 to go. That is not much time. If we get the yellow flag almost immediately, we would get a one-lap shootout, I do believe, but anything else? Caution ends the race. It will be feisty, it will be fiery. The question remains, though, 4 cars on the older tires. How can they fend off the challenge of drivers like Chad Simpson, Brendan Lichtenberg, and Marco Aurelio Brazil? Severi Seppa up 13 positions on the day so far.
Quickly.
Go ahead.
If you Adam Blocker right now, and you're probably going to take the lead out of the championship right now in this, if you keep it up to P1. If you're Adam Blocker, what do you do?
You go for the win. You don't have a choice because you know as you head into the month of May with those trackside responsibilities with Ilmore Engineering. Blocker is an engine engineer, trackside engine engineer. Say that 3 times fast, 5 times fast, however many times you want to. He knows that points will be lacking then for the next 4 weeks. But now, 6 laps to go here at the Texas Motor Speedway. We are expecting side-by-side. Blocker once more gets a good launch. This time, though, everyone is ready. And no big gaps between, I think, the top 5. Seppa gets a good launch as compared... Wilhite gets a good launch compared to Christopher Demerit, working their way out of turn 2. Momentum will build up on their side. But now Lorenzo, where is Chad Simpson? Still trying to build up his speed.
Still trying to build up his speed. Didn't have a really good start. I think that was because of 70 Seppa not having a good start as well. But now, you see, he's getting closer. But now the factor is, can 70 Seppa get closer to that top 3? And then if he does, Chad Simpson's going to be in marvelous position to make some moves.
Ooh, is Demerit in the lead? He is sweeping around the outside. The second change on track for the race lead here. And with 5 to go, it'll be 4 at the line. That might be crucial. Oh boy, Lorenzo, this is going to be exciting. Wilhite pokes his nose to the inside as well.
Yeah, and Simpson already one up and he's getting close. He's flying through the track, getting closer to the leaders. He's already mailing Chris Wilhite.
Oh, there's a car into the inside wall. Alexis Newsom in the 12 car. We stay under green flag conditions. Across the stripe we go once more, Lorenzo. Here is Chad Simpson as Alexis Newsom crashes out in the closing stages of this race.
And Blocker trying to go on the outside into the merit. He will have to run into 2. Chris Wilhite. Now Simpson making the move. He's really fast. He just put his car outside of Chris Wilhite and now on the hunt out of the Sue's car ahead.
Oh, and Blocker slides up the track. That will open the door for Simpson to try and make it 3 wide.
Brazil 2 is in.
Oh, this is incredible. Brazil around the outside. They're 2 wide, 2 deep for second on back. Demerit in control then of this situation. Brazil will be on the outside with the fresh tires. This is what he wants. How does Blocker defend now, Lorenzo? White flag in the air next time around.
Yeah, how does he block in Brazil? Working a very wide line for a good launch. Simpson really close. There will be 3 wide into the leader as we open up the final lap.
Oh, Simpson thought better of that one. Almost went up into the wall. It's near contact between Demerit and Blocker. We are heading into the month of May, and it's I5G versus Powerslide first here in the Lone Star State. What can Chad Simpson do as they fan out 3 wide, not just in the foreground, but in the background as well? Over, under, can he do it? Adam Blocker in the blue and black. It's Demerit versus Blocker at the line. It's 4 wide with Brazil. Oh, and that's going to be a nasty impact at the line. Question remains, who wins this race? It's Demerit, it's Blocker, it's Brazil, it's Simpson, Lorenzo.
And looks like Demerit has took this one by 28 hundredths of a second out of Adam Blocker and 47 hundredths of a second from Marco Borelli of Brazil with a very good charge to get Chad Simpson's P4 in the final turn of the race.
Let's go straight ahead and take one more look at this one, and we will go straight to the super slow-mo. Out of turn 2 to the back straight. Demerit fends off the challenge from Adam Blocker. Simpson tries to find his way past. They're all searching for that elusive draft, and let's slow it down here. Oh, let's go even slower if we can. We are at 8. We are at 12x slowed down speed. You can see it was close between Brazil and Blocker, but the result was never in question, I think, for Christopher Demerit, as the one car takes victory here in the Lone Star State. Lorenzo, I don't expect this type of a finish when the NTT IndyCar Series visits this track in just a couple of days' time for a doubleheader weekend, but the virtual Texas, it delivered today in round 7 of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship.
He delivered in bunches, right? Especially those final 40 laps in this race. And I gotta say, that photo finish, really close finish. If we had one more lap, this might have been Chad Simpson, even Brazil's race to take, because they were getting so close. But now I think Texas is all the way behind us. Still in the Lone State. Coda is upcoming us, and I think we can officially open up the month of May here, Arjuna.
I'll be honest, after that, Lorenzo, there's already concern in the iRacing IndyCar community about the weather that was recently announced for this upcoming iRacing Indy 500. Track temperatures upwards of, I believe it was 45 degrees Celsius. That will be very much at the forefront of drivers' minds. Much cooler here at the Texas Motor Speedway, at least in terms of track temperature. I think tempers might be flaring after that one, though, because that was a big one after the fact. And take a look at the shots of the cars with damage. The new damage model really is wonderful. Bits and bobs go flying around. Let's go take a look then let's not dawdle as we work our way into post-race coverage here. Want to get to some of those post-race interviews as well. So 133 laps and 200 miles later, it is Christopher Demerit for the Team i5G. It's just 0.03 of a second separating him and Adam Blocker, who will slide his way back into championship contention. Not just contention, but into the lead of this championship. Brazil, very impressive charge in the final stages to reclaim his third position where he started today's race. Chad Simpson for VRS Satellite Racing, 7/10 back in that 4-wide finish. Chris Wilhite, great to see him back on a Monday night. He finishes on the edge of the top 5 with Severi Seppa, one of the biggest movers on the day, up 11 into the 6th position. Brendan Lichtenberg, 7th. Henry Bennett, a disappointing day for him. He finishes in 8th, but the last car on the lead lap, Christian Maccarelli, up 10 on the day for him. It was close between Bennett and Maccarelli there. Wonder how close the point situation's looking as well. The Muscle Man rounds out the top 10, the first of our cars 1 lap down, with Alexis Newsom, Tyler Dubosch 4 laps off the race leader, with Jesper Orman, Carlos Ruiz, Matt Hollowboat, Jacob Oster. The list goes on and on in terms of retirees. Adam Crane, Austin Espety, Andrew Marquez, and Vilda Wallen. You will notice there, Lorenzo, fastest lap, a 23.651, set on lap 130 as well. So just an indication of just how important fresh tires were at the end of that race.
Yeah, you know, tires getting a little bit of a talking point. I think I did say that on the Milwaukee broadcast, where if you had really good tires, you can really do a good run and try to prepare yourself into something greater than maybe a top 5 finish. But to be expected under 44s. And again, can't wait to see what Coda has to bring with those very questionable off tracks, in my point of view. But we can officially say now the month of May has been officially open for business in the iRacing service for the Indy 500.
I'd just like to say as well, Adam Crane is persistent, because Lorenzo, he's still out there in his pit box. Clearly, the members of his pit crew have no idea what to do, but unfortunate day for him. He tried to start at the back, did not go his way. Let's head on over into the Sunoco victory lane. It's right behind where Crane is sitting right now. We've got winner interviews standing by, and let's start it off by bringing in Christopher Demerit. Chris, interesting race there. Didn't necessarily know what it was going to look like in the closing stages. I didn't think we'd have any type of 4-wide action, though, coming to the line.
Yeah, the weight restart definitely helped a lot of people, and a lot of people took tires, so they became flying. Usually when there's a weight restart like that, there's not enough time for everyone to like compress all back together after we accordion out, but we did, so yeah, I wish we kept the finish clean, but otherwise than that, it was interesting. Not my favorite kind of racing, but I'll take the strategy for it at least.
What was it like there for long portions? Because until the last 20 laps or so, Chris, we didn't actually see a pass on track for the race lead, and it was Adam and you who finally found a way to do it around the outside. Just how difficult was it? And with cool track temperatures, I mean, we always might have expected some sort of a pack race, but definitely not what we're going to see when the NTT IndyCar Series visits this track this coming weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely somewhere between what the real guys have and what we have is the sweet spot. I don't think either package is particularly great, let's say, but yeah, it's actually very, very, very difficult to pass the leader. You either need a giant run, like I was able to get on Blocker because he had pulled away from me, and I was like almost maxing out 6th by the time I got to the front stretch. And then yeah, but I mean, other than that, if you don't have a big run, you're kind of at the mercy of the leader as long as he's holding at the bottom. And yeah, I mean, for a long stretch there, I was actually fuel saving as the leader. So I'll tell you a bit about how hard it is to pass the leader here. But everyone back from the leader was pretty good though. That's you can actually look around for lanes and clean air, but up at the front, it's not the best.
Well, Lorenzo had said kind of at the end of this race that the month of May is now open for business. The weather was announced yesterday, Chris. I want to get your thoughts on this because it's lots of discussion, as always, in the iRacing IndyCar community. Fairly warm track temperatures. What's your thought on what should be a very exciting month of May?
I'm very much looking forward to it. Yeah, I saw that weather announcement. I was actually surprised. And then actually, it didn't surprise me that much when I remembered that the same thing almost happened last year. But I'm actually looking forward to it a lot. That temperature change, and yeah, it's we're a few days out from May, so it's time to get the sets going.
I have no doubt that you guys have been hard at work already. Congratulations then on the victory here, Chris, and hopefully we'll see you in 1 week's time, still from Texas, but this time from the Circuit of the Americas.
Thanks, I'll see you.
So that was Christopher Demeritte, winner for the Team i5G, up 3 positions on the day. Let's bring in Adam Blocker, a second place there in a very entertaining finish. Adam, talk to us a little bit about that race, leading for the majority of it. Finally lost the lead in the pit cycle, found a way back despite, I think, what would have been a significant challenge. Just didn't work out your way at the end.
Yeah, it was a tough race. We definitely had good queue setup. Definitely want to thank Wilson and Henry for that. It was clearly the fastest one, and yeah, really controlled the race for much of it. And then that last stint was kind of awkward. First, Demeritte beat me out of the pits. I guess I was too cautious going into my box, and then after that, in order to make it in clean air, you would have to use the fuel maps, and so that's what Chris was doing, and I dropped back unintentionally, but to like third or fourth car in line a couple times, but that helped me make my fuel number pretty comfortably, so I was able to push, and I passed him under green when he was saving a little bit, and yeah, I think I would have had it if it would have went green, but fortunately I knew we were going to stay out that last time because track position was so important and we didn't have many laps, but yeah, it was just cold tire understeer ultimately, and I washed a little bit too much off of 2, and he was able to clear me going into 3, but I almost had him back a couple laps later. It was really close, but yeah, I wasn't willing to risk it considering the point situation. I don't think I was clear anyways.
What's it been like for you, Adam, as well? You're in the midst of, I think, 3 back-to-back race weekends with the NTT IndyCar Series. Lots of traveling. Must be hard for you to get some preparation for a race like this. How is that affecting your championship fight?
Well, the good thing is that I have some good teammates like Hugo and Henry were working on the setup yesterday for Texas, and yeah, I think we ultimately had a pretty good race setup here, and obviously I helped some today and had a few hours when I got home today to work on it. But yeah, we were kind of fortunate to have a good baseline here, and everything went well. But like you could see last week at Milwaukee, we were definitely underprepared and our setup wasn't very good. So, but next couple weeks are road courses, so not really, feeling pretty confident about that.
Question for you then, Adam. Sorry, excuse me. My dog has accidentally fallen down on the side. What does Texas hold for you as we head there this weekend in the real NTT IndyCar Series as well? Because it's an interesting race that we saw today. I don't think it's going to be somewhat representative of the action on track.
Based on the test we had there a month ago, I think that the racing is going to be better than what they had last year with the new aero bits they've added to the floor and stuff. But obviously it's not going to be anything close to what we had here, and I think that's probably a good thing in a way. But yeah, it's going to be much harder to pass, although I do think they'll be able to pass the leader, and they will be able to pass in traffic if somebody makes a mistake. The main limiting factor is running wheel-to-wheel in 1 and 2, which even on iRacing, the high line doesn't have a lot of grip, so that's kind of the limiting factor basically. But
well, thanks for jumping in, Adam. Hopefully we'll see you next time from the Circuit of the Americas. Should be an interesting race, but I'm sure very different from what we had here today.
Yep, see you then.
So we are watching scenes of that finish at the end and the 4-wide action, Lorenzo. Let's get some quick thoughts from you before we wrap up here and move on to an exciting race next week at the Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, like I mentioned, a race of bigger attrition, coming down the line. Of course, we expect much more yellow flags than we see in Milwaukee. It is a track that enables you to be more aggressive, but it was good to see clean, aggressive, and very respectable run in exchange of positions through this race. If you look at the calendar here, Arjuna, this is going to be a very interesting month of May when we come down to the 500.
Preparations for the 500 underway, not just for teams, but for the broadcasters as well. I'll have coverage both of the fixed 500 and the open 500 this coming month of May 15th and May 21st, I do believe. at 5 p.m. UTC in both of those cases. Should be a very exciting couple of weeks. Qualifying will roll itself underway then in just a couple of weeks as well. Time to say goodbye then here on a Monday night once more. An exciting finish here from the Texas Motor Speedway as we go 4 wide at the line. But it is Christopher Demerit that takes victory. It's Adam Blocker that slides his way back up into the championship lead. Still a long way to go, but Blocker, who has his real-world commitments to juggle through this busy portion of the year, and will have to focus in on what he can do in this championship alongside his Indy 500 responsibilities. Just a reminder, if you want to stay tuned for more sim racing action, you can follow us on social media at RaceSpotTV across of YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch, and Instagram. If you're not subscribed to us already on YouTube, hit that red button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live with the great sim racing series we get to cover. For now, though, it's time to say goodbye. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, and I've been joined by Lorenzo Bonder for 200 miles of action at the Texas Motor Speedway. We'll be back in 1 week's time, but for now, it's time to say goodbye. And from the team behind me at RaceSpotTV, we hope that you enjoy the rest of this upcoming week. The first race is done, and still lots more to come. The championship is wide open, but it's Adam Blocker back to the front. So long and goodbye from the Texas Motor Speedway. We'll see you in 7 days' time from the Circuit of the Americas.